According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors such as Virginia Roberts Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada.
FBI Director Kash Patel floundered trying to dodge questions about Epstein associates. Why? Because protecting the powerful is more important to him than protecting victims. Pay attention to what they don't want you to see.
Consent request.
Gentleman's recognized.
So I've got 4 documents I'd like to introduce into the record. The first one is Jeffrey Epstein's sick story played out for years in plain sight. And Acosta is quoted in here saying, "I was told Epstein belonged to intelligence and to leave it alone." The second document is entitled, "What Epstein's Bodyguard Warned About His CIA Connections." The third document is from Fox Digital. It's titled, "Epstein's Private Calendar Reveals Planned Meetings with Obama Admin Official CIA Chief." And the last document is Wall Street Journal article that highlights Ehud Barak's 36 meetings with Jeffrey Epstein. He was the former Prime Minister of Israel and head of military intelligence for Israel. It may have held that title when he met Epstein, and then, yes.
Without objection, the gentleman will hold for a second. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just one UC request. This is Judge Engelmeyer's decision from August in U.S. versus Epstein, stating the government's 100,000 pages of Epstein files dwarfs the 70-odd pages of Epstein grand jury materials.
Without objection, the gentleman from Kentucky is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director Patel, I watched some of your Senate hearing yesterday when Senator Kennedy asked you, you've seen most of the files, who, if anyone, did Epstein traffic these women to besides himself? You replied, according to the transcript, there is no credible information that he trafficked them to anyone else. You also said somewhere in the hearing and here today that the problem is that the case files are constrained by limited search warrants from 2006 to 2007, and that the non-prosecution agreement hamstrung future investigations. Those constraints only apply to Southern District of Florida. They do not apply to Southern District of New York, the location of the 2019 sex trafficking indictment, which produced many things, including a series of FD 302 documents. According to victims who cooperated with the FBI in that investigation, these documents in FBI possession, your possession, detail at least 20 men, including Mr. Jess Staley, CEO of Barclays Bank, who Jeffrey Epstein trafficked victims to, victims including minors such as Virginia Roberts Giuffre, may she rest in peace. That list also includes at least 19 other individuals, one Hollywood producer worth a few $100 million, one royal prince, one high-profile individual in the music industry, one very prominent banker, one high-profile government official, one high-profile former politician, one owner of a car company in Italy, one rock star, one magician, at least 6 billionaires, including a billionaire from Canada. We know these people exist in the FBI files, the files that you control. I don't know exactly who they are, but the FBI does. Have you launched any investigations into any of these people, and have you seen these 302 documents?
Sir, I have asked my FBI agents to review the entirety of the Epstein files and bring forth any credible information, and we're working with Congress not only to divulge that information and produce it to you, but any investigations that arise from any credible investigation will be brought. There have been no new materials brought to me launching a new indictment.
So is the loophole here, or is it your assertion that these victims aren't credible, that the 302s maybe didn't produce credible statements that rise to a probable cause?
It's not my assertion, sir. It's the assertion of 2 different United States attorney's offices from 3 separate administrations who investigated those same materials in live time.
Are the 302 documents in the FBI's possession?
They reviewed all that, yes, sir.
And so have you reviewed those 302 documents where the victims name the people who victimized them?
If I personally know, but the FBI has.
So how can you sit here and in front of the Senate and say there are no names?
I said all
I named one
information-
today.
I said we are not in the practice at the Department of Justice FBI of releasing victims' names. That is not what we do. We are also not in the habit of releasing incredible information. That's not what we do. But multiple authorities have looked at the entirety of what we have.
Okay, I got to move on here. Were you present when the AG had the White House event when she released the binders to social media influencers?
I was, yes.
So if you're willing to meet with social media influencers who stood to benefit from the sensational and sad stories of these victims, will you meet with the victims as well?
The FBI will meet with anyone who has new information.
Will you personally meet with them?
The FBI and the professionals who are handling the cases will.
Were you instructed that it was important to release the documents to the Oversight Committee on the day of my introduction of the discharge petition to release these files?
I don't know what day that was, so no.
Well, they were released that day, and there were victims' names who weren't redacted because they were in such a rush, and the victims are not happy about that. Have you investigated any of the CIA connections? Have you seen the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein? And if you wanted to see it, would they show it to you?
Well, I can speak for the FBI, and that's presuming there's a CIA case file, and I've reviewed everything that the interagency, not I, the FBI, that was provided to us.
Would you be willing to look at the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein?
If there is such a file, and if it has not already been turned over to the FBI will look at any new investigative leads.
Have you made any progress on the pipe bomb investigation January 6th, and have you made any progress on the motive of the Las Vegas shooter?
As to the first, it's an ongoing investigation, and we have made progress. As to the second, sir, I'll have to get back to you.
All right, thank you. I yield back.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
What if the very institutions sworn to protect us are shielding the powerful from accountability? That's the haunting question at the heart of a recent congressional exchange between Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie and FBI Director nominee Kash Patel. In a tense House Judiciary Committee hearing, Massie grilled Patel on Jeffrey Epstein's shadowy web of influence, exposing cracks in our justice system that demand scrutiny. As a journalist focused on America's political underbelly, I'll break this time step by step, blending the facts with the frustrations they evoke. Let's unpack what happened and why it matters. First, some quick context. Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender who died in custody in 2019, wasn't just a lone predator. His case reeks of elite protection, with ties to billionaires, politicians, and intelligence agencies. Massie, known for his no-nonsense probes, came armed with documents to challenge Patel's narrative. He introduced 4 key pieces into the record. A report quoting Epstein's former associate claiming he belonged to intelligence and should be left alone. A warning from Epstein's bodyguard about CIA connections. A Fox News piece on Epstein's calendar showing planned meetings with Obama-era officials and the CIA chief. And a Wall Street Journal article detailing 36 encounters between Epstein and Ehud Barak, Israel's former prime minister and military intelligence head. These aren't conspiracy theories. They're public records hinting at a deeper, darker network. From there, Massie pivoted to Patel's recent Senate testimony, where he claimed there's no credible information that Epstein trafficked victims to anyone else. But hold on, that doesn't square with the evidence. Massie pointed out that while early investigations in Florida were hampered by a controversial 2007 non-prosecution agreement, the 2019 New York indictment opened new doors. It produced FBI Form 302 documents. Those are official interview summaries from victims who named at least 20 men Epstein allegedly trafficked them to, including minors like Virginia Roberts Gouffre, who tragically passed away. The list? Chilling. Jess Staley, former Barclays CEO, a Hollywood producer, a royal prince, a music mogul, a prominent banker, a government official, a former politician, an Italian car company owner, a rock star, a magician, and 6 billionaires, including one from Canada. These details sit in FBI files under Patel's purview. Yet, when pressed on whether he's launched investigations or even reviewed these 302s personally, Patel deflected. I've asked my agents to review, but no new indictments. He insisted multiple U.S. attorneys' offices across administrations found no probable cause, emphasizing they don't release incredible information or victims' names. But isn't that the loophole? If victims' accounts aren't deemed credible, who gets to decide, and why haven't these leads been pursued aggressively? This is where things get dramatic. Massie pushed back strongly, highlighting a sharp pivot to Epstein's intelligence ties. He referenced a White House event where Attorney General Merrick Garland released Epstein documents to social media influencers, timing that suspiciously coincided with Massie's push to declassify more files. Victims' names weren't even properly redacted, leaving them exposed and furious. Then came the bombshell. Have you investigated any of the CIA connections? Have you seen the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein? Patel hedged, saying the FBI has reviewed interagency materials, but presuming a CIA file exists, they'd look at any new leads. Massie didn't stop there, tossing in questions about stalled probes like the January 6 pipe bomber and the Las Vegas shooter's motive, both ongoing per Patel but with little visible progress. The exchange ended abruptly, but the tension lingered, underscoring how politicized our investigative agencies have become. Patel's nomination, backed by Trump allies, raises red flags about conflicts of interest. Is loyalty to power trumping justice for victims? Let's zoom out for the bigger lessons. First, this highlights a crisis of transparency. FBI files bulging with victim testimonies, yet no action against the elite named within. How can we trust a system that seems to protect the powerful while victims suffer in silence? Second, the CIA's potential involvement screams broader mistrust. If the CIA shielded Epstein, what else are they hiding, and how does that erode public faith? And finally, it exposes the cruelty of politicized justice. Rushed releases for optics, ignored leads for convenience. In a nation grappling with inequality, this sends the wrong message. Accountability is optional for the connected. Epstein's victims deserve better, and so do we. Stay informed, stay loud, demand Congress declassify those files, and hold hearings without excuses. If this breakdown resonated, hit like, subscribe for more unfiltered analysis you won't get anywhere else, and share your thoughts below. Together, we can push for the truth.